Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday Live with Alan and myself, Greg, and our guest, Hannah from
Hello.
Books. If you are in the chat room, go ahead and drop us a line just to say hello. We've got James Holder. Hello, James.
Yay.
Lee. Hello, Lee. You're here.
Lee.
Time. Excellent. So how's everyone doing today?
Doing great.
Nothing.
I've been really tired all day. So if I fall asleep in here, you'll know why.
Oh, geez, we'll have to keep you up.
Well, Hannah, if you get tired, just let us know. You know, usually we go hour and a half, but if you need to conk out, just tell us.
I think it's the time change that I've just gotten sort of off my usual schedule.
You know, some people are bothered by time changes more than others. Like, I normally don't care because if I lose an hour of sleep, you know, on Sunday, or Saturday night, I just take a nap in the afternoon and I'm done, ready to go.
Yeah, it's a thing out here in Portland. A lot of people don't want to change at all.
Hey, Constance.
Hey, Constance. Yep.
Well, a lot of people are in here. Hey.
Yeah, Lee Sniffles. We've got Pat.
Constance.
Pat.
Good to see you, Pat.
Yeah. People just saying hi.
And I'm going to get the sniffles now.
Lee says it's so darn cold. I thought Lee lived in California where it's usually warm.
It was almost 70 here today, which is
almost 70.
Wow, that's nice.
You're not too far up north from me, so
not at all. Yeah.
I spent my afternoon on my sun deck.
Ooh.
You know, it's enclosed, and I had my iPhone on the table outside, and the sun was shining on it for like an hour. I picked it up, and I got this temperature warning on my phone saying your phone is too hot to use.
Wow.
Unusual.
Sitting in the sun.
That's amazing.
Spring now, springtime now. It's official springtime now.
It is, but you know, Alan, you've been here, but my house is situated that we get full southern exposure in the back of my house. So we get sun basically from morning till evening.
Wow.
One of the reasons we put on solar panels in our house.
Oh.
And almost all of our electric needs are covered by solar power.
That's great. That's amazing.
The only time it didn't is in the summertime with the ACs going. And the problem is we have the cats. They like to sit on the sun deck, and we leave the door open for them, which is not because you're AC in the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of an issue with that. And
now you're talking about you got a big like indoor deck, and the cat's going to the house and the deck. Then he's got an outdoor you call that deck too. But it's like an outside that the cats go in and out.
They love that also. They love sitting out there just getting breeze on their whiskers.
Oh, sounds lovely.
It kind of scares me out there. It's got a great view of this big ravine. And I like to go there at nighttime and look, go, God, there's monsters out there. Or think about the Civil War soldiers that marched through there more than likely.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. I have a deep, rich inner life. But my imagination goes wild. You know, like the animals out there too. I bet you have some deer in that sometimes.
We have deer. We have a fox. We've had at least a coyote.
Wow, that scared me.
Turtle.
Oh yeah, the turtle.
No, I think they're called skinks, or they're like little lizard type creatures.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, my house is in a very urban area, but there's a creek that runs fairly nearby. And as the city has developed, the wildlife from the creek area now go everywhere. So suddenly there's deer all over town, walking down the street.
Wow.
And during the winter, they were here all the time looking for food when it was snowing. And today, and so I haven't seen them for a couple of weeks, but today they were back with all their babies. It was
Oh, that's
so
I
sweet.
like looking at the wildlife myself, so I don't mind.
You know, when I was back in Toledo, Ohio, like 6, 7 years ago now, they had a problem with deer. It was like a epidemic, clogging up traffic and that. It was very unusual. And back in the day, I'd never seen like we would have been shocked if to see deer by my high school like that, like it was. We would have been unreal. But
Mm-hmm.
Michigan stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's cool. Constance says, enjoyed Hannah's nonfiction and bio tags today.
Thank you very much.
I haven't seen any videos, many videos a day.
no,
Me
I was
neither.
watching other
Like that,
videos.
I'm
Yeah,
trying
I
not
watch-
to watch as many political videos
I
anymore.
watch
'cause they
political
get-
and music videos, not just music videos, but like how-to stuff. That kind of boring.
That seems like a healthier thing to do than watching politics.
It does. It just bunges me so much now. It just
Yeah.
got to turn it off.
In the same way.
It's getting to be repetitive too. Like you skip a few days and then it's all like Elon this, Elon that.
Although it sometimes seems like things are happening so fast that, even missing an hour, you might miss something. So
Right, that
that
too.
might
Changes
do-
daily.
Yeah,
Stock
Tariffs,
market
no
today.
tariffs, no tariffs.
right.
Stock market going up and down now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what one of those listens says. Like, if you're going to implement tariffs, stock market's going to go down because it's bad. If you can't decide it's bad because that's still uncertainty, and you're still moving investors away. So
Mm-hmm.
Canada's got a new prime minister, and
Yeah.
he kind of put his foot down today. I don't know if you saw that. That was a good one.
I'm all with Canada, even though obviously America's like, yeah, go with
Mhm.
Canada.
Yep.
Hi,
Yeah.
Leah.
I've been telling Canadian booktubers that I'm going to come move into their libraries or whatever. So,
I have a big fondness for Niagara Falls, Canadian side.
Yeah.
Been there several times. I just adore it. Houdini Museum and everything.
Thing is, I don't know if the Canadians want a 60-year-old retired computer programmer moving into their country.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going, you're going to need health care pretty soon, aren't you? We don't want to, it's like we pay for our people's health care.
Yeah. Nor another artiste like me. I don't know. They do.
Hey, there's Pat, Constance. Lee's saying that she also has solar panels and makes a dent in pool heating and electricity.
Oh, pool heating.
Wow. I am one of the few people in the DC area who seems to live with no air conditioning. So it really keeps my bills down. Although
Really?
I have fans on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I spend a lot of time at the library or wherever where it is air conditioned. But we have beautiful radiators that I don't want to change and to put air conditioning
Yeah, you
in.
mentioned that before. They're the old style floor radiators.
Yeah.
They talk to you. They talk to you. I can hear.
Mm-hmm. And
They sing.
I love how and they don't dry out the house either. And so I haven't been brave enough to try to get some air conditioning in some other way. Apparently there are other ways they can do it now.
Yeah,
We
my
don't have
electric definitely goes down in the summer here too. Although they put an AC in last year, but I had 2 years before that I lived without AC and just suffered for like a week, maybe out of the year. By suffer,
that's right.
just a little.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, DC is because it's so humid around here. It can get pretty gross. But
Well, there was a how someone described Washington D.C. in summer. They say, imagine 1,000 Saint Bernards breathing on you all at once.
that's pretty much it.
that's pretty.
Tickle
humid.
Park
I
is a
know.
little bit higher.
Wow, it's like Florida humid.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it may be worse. Florida just seems to get the rainstorms that cool you off every day. But
Well, I grew up in South Carolina and had air conditioning growing up there, but it was also right near the water, so there was always it was moderated temperatures, but also a breeze almost all the time, and that's less true around here.
Nice. I like the South. You know, I have
Hey,
relatives
James.
South Daytona, and I grew up going up and down 75 summer times going to Daytona Beach.
Wow.
say hi to James. Quaint and Curious Volumes.
Oh, hey James. Yeah, I'm going to mention you later in the.
So I'm trying to say, is this Crazy Sam 70? I guess.
That's
Hey,
what I've
everyone.
always been saying when I'm filling out comments. It's like, oh, is that crazy Sam?
You know,
think
that's
so.
you know what's weird about that? My autograph is AMM770. It's my initials plus that little number. I've been doing it since I was like 16 years old. So that's kind of cool. Coincidence. Angelia's here.
Angela. Oh,
Sure.
here's Constance. Could Hannah talk a bit about the editing software she likes to use?
Absolutely. Are you thinking of starting a channel?
Constance, maybe. I think it'd be great if she started one.
Yeah. So I use a free program called Lightworks, which apparently it's used for some major movies. There's one you can purchase, but it's slightly, you can make higher quality videos, like 4K or whatever and stuff like that. But it doesn't have much that's additional. So the whole thing can be free. And then the reason that I chose that one was because it's called Lightworks because it's a really lightweight program. So on my not very powerful computer, it can run where a lot of other free programs will make my computer crash.
Do you have an old Windows system?
Say it again.
An old Windows system.
An old Windows system and a very old computer, which is about to be replaced, I think. But yeah, my computer's like
You know, when the
7 years
question,
old. Say it again.
I'm sorry, when the question came up, my mind immediately went to writing, your editing software, and your.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the video.
So if that's the question, I'd just use Word. But I assume you're talking about.
I thought she was talking video too, but
Probably
Alan makes a good point.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're talking about video. But so I really recommend it. It's a little bit less than obvious how to run it at first, but there's some videos on YouTube that the company puts out that are really useful. And I've been using it since I started my channel, I guess. Maybe not the first video, but and I've learned more and more along the way, and I'm really fond of it. So.
Now, when did you start your channel? Are you older than me, or?
5.5 years ago. I'm guessing. I can't remember when I found out about you.
I got 7 years.
Yeah, so I think you had already started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roz
I may
was-
not have known you until the first Faulkner in August.
Yeah,
which I
and
think is
that's
right
right. I met
about the
Roz.
time I started.
Yep. I met Roz and Tilly are my oldest BookTube friends, and then Brian.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I like my first subscription. I think might have been to like BookTube wise, Kelly at Books and or Katie.
Yes, I think she was for an enormous number of us. She's what pulled me in.
I remember I used to look at all kinds of BookTube videos that I never do now. Like even I just seem to remember they were all like women with the beautiful and like with big bookshelves, and they were all white and great lighting. And I don't know what I was looking at, like stuff
I
like
think
that.
a lot of them are even bigger now, but they're just not part of our world.
It was like I didn't know if it was a fashion show or a book review type thing. But now I'm not saying that about Katie, but
no, she's a serious reader.
yeah, and then
And writer.
and writer now. Yeah, I remember all that. And then she was even one of her jobs was a like a what do they call people who tour? She was a Dickens person who she toured guide for the
I'd
Dickens.
forgotten that. I knew
Dickens.
she worked at the Jane Austen Center or something at some point.
Was
too.
that it? Probably Jane Austen.
But that she did with Dickens would make some sense. I just don't remember. But
Yeah,
she's great. Yeah.
and just kind of moved up through the years, better, and then editing gigs, and then writing her own, and then reading a channel too. How do they do it?
So what made you decide to start your channel?
God, that's because I was always using YouTube for music, like but and then I do it for art too, like how to do this watercolor or that, and then just kind of loneliness, tired of reading by missing people and book clubs and
wanting a community.
I was really ignorant about Victorian stuff and Wuthering Heights. I'd never read that. And I'm a MFA, and it's an MFA in creative writing, but still English, and I've never read that, or Moby Dick and stuff like that.
Yep.
I didn't read any of the Brontes.
Oh, really?
University.
Yep.
Yeah, you think we would have?
Well, the thing is, a lot of the classes I took separated out British and American literature into separate classes.
Yeah, and I went Joycean too, so I kind of
right.
So you were both English majors as undergrads?
Yep.
I was a theater major undergrad.
Oh, you were.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Theater, yeah.
It's pretty close.
I was an actor, like in high school, and that.
Mm-hmm.
A musician, and I played drums in high school all through. Like, I wasn't a guitar player, but yeah. So my name, I wish I would have came up with a better name, but the classics part wasn't. Not that I'm an expert in classics, that I want to read more. That's what I meant by it. But
reading the classics, or yeah.
Yeah, I know. When I
a memorable name.
Channel, I just came up with my eventually. Yeah, let's call it this. I was thinking of using my name. I mean, some people just use their name.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I thought, there's some strange people on the internet.
Yeah.
I was just going to use my AMM770. I was just going to use that. That might have been strange and cool. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I had a bookish blog for a long time where I was totally anonymous, never had my picture up, had a name that was not, that was actually, I will tell you what it is since it no longer exists. It was the Purloined Letter.
I remember that. That's after Dickens too, isn't it?
Say it again.
That's after Dickens.
No.
No. What's it? Don't tell me. Damn it. What is it?
Let It Go.
Oh, yes.
His second of his detective stories.
And I, in addition to talking about books, I talked about knitting. So purl is a knitting stitch. So
Stitch 1, purl 2.
Exactly. And so knowing that, and being anonymous for all that time, I was like, okay, so I'm not going to give my last name for sure. And I have this other life with my last name that I didn't really want people to search for the historian part of me and
find you
talking about books for fun. And
right.
So I was going to name it something like Books and Yarn or something along those lines. And my husband was like, no, don't do something specific. Do something really general so you can do whatever you want with your channel. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'll just call it Hannah's Books. so it stuck.
All right. Well, we've been here about 20 minutes. We haven't talked about books yet. Well, we have a little bit, but normally, Hannah, I like to talk about what books you're currently reading, currently finished, anything you want to talk about. And as a guest, you get to talk about your book first, or books.
Okay. I brought up 3 books, and I mentioned at the very, very beginning that I seem to be reading little bits of a whole lot of different books right now.
Same problem.
And I think I've been reading more than usual, but not quite as organized as sometimes. So one that comes out tomorrow that I'm really enjoying is Helen Gardner's How to End a Story, which is a collection of her diaries from 1978 or so until 2000 to 1998, I think. And I'm really, really enjoying it. She's written quite a bit of stuff. She's an Australian author, and I read her very short novel, The Spare Room, a few years ago, which is about she's taking care of her friend who lives with her, or who moves in with her as she's dying. And it reads very much like a memoir. But her diaries are charming and funny and sarcastic. And rather than being written, with a day and then an entry, there are these individual paragraphs with no dates. And so each year is marked, but otherwise, so I don't know whether she actually wrote the diaries that way. I have the feeling that she did. But I'm really enjoying that.
Does it still give you a sense of like season and like movement of time?
Yes, and I mean, at the very start, she's in the process of divorcing her first husband and recognizing that her relationship is kind of falling apart with her second husband. And I gather that that's going to continue
to time of
and she's got a kid that she's sharing with her first husband, and they're in different countries, and so there's a lot about writing, there's a lot about reading in it, and then about her relationships and her partner's relationships as well. So but she's catty, there are quotations from other authors frequently. So she'll be talking about some theme, and then there'll be a quote from somebody that just, as if she's just thinking in her head at that moment, and it just pops up that that's the right quote to use, which I've never been able to do.
Something? Yeah. I love it when you're reading books and you get these little hints of other books inside. It's. Yep. I mentioned to Alan for whatever reason. I'll mention it when I get to mine, because you got to remind me that there's a literary reference in a book that's very odd to have this literary reference. Go on, Hannah.
Okay.
I read one. I can't remember what I was reading, but a Faulkner one. Oh yeah,
Alan. Well, we're going to get to it when
not about yours, but because mine was in a crime novel.
Oh.
But yeah. But go ahead, Hannah.
Well, actually, I'm also reading Portrait of a Lady again, which is a book I read with Roz actually last year and really enjoyed. But I'm taking a little online class with Merve Imre, the new lit crit person who is all the rage apparently, and I really like it. But she was while we were talking about the book, she said that her young child, who is reading Harriet the Spy, pointed out that in Harriet the Spy, they're talking about having tea at some point, and that one of the main characters uses a quote from Portrait of a Lady, and how much fun it was to see, a quote from Portrait of a Lady in a children's book. And so,
we just read Dan. You were going to talk about the Dan Simmons book, were you, Greg?
I wasn't.
No, he was Henry James was a character in a Sherlock Holmes pastiche that we read like last month. But
And shall I talk about a couple of other things I'm reading, or shall I hold them for another time?
Oh, go ahead.
You can hold another one.
Okay. I'm reading Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own, which this is technically the fourth time I've read it.
Great.
But this is a new, beautiful edition of Everyman's Classics.
Ooh.
With an introduction by Merve Imre, actually, which is really kind of a funny thing. But I'm writing a review of it that's really more of an essay about rereading. So I'm writing about the 3 times that I read this book along through the course of my life and what else I was reading at the same time. And so it's tremendous fun. It's a really different way to, whenever I write about something that I'm reading, I always think about it differently, but especially when it's this kind of personal essay. So that's fun. I don't know if you've read it recently, but
I only read Mr. Dalloway.
Oh, yes. Well, this is nonfiction.
To the Lighthouse too.
Yeah, To the Lighthouse is great.
That's one of the books
my 2 favorites.
I really need to pick up.
Yeah.
To the Lighthouse.
Yeah. Well, this one is nonfiction. And basically, well, I'm giving away the first part of my essay that she totally rags on Jane Eyre and it totally attacks it. And it was the book I read with it the first time. So Jane Eyre is my very favorite book.
Want to hear something funny? Coincidence? Angelia's in the chat. We just decided a few days ago we're going to buddy read Jane Eyre in October.
Wonderful.
I've never read it. But she's read it 2-3 times. So
you'll enjoy it.
Take me through Jane Eyre.
Yeah.
So
it is.
What other book? What other book do I see down there?
For me?
Yeah.
I'm reading the new Library of America edition of Margaret Fuller's book, work. And she was a 19th century author and teacher, etc., in Boston, part of the Transcendentalist movement. And her book, Women in the 19th Century, is often considered the first work of American feminism.
Okay.
And it's kind of like, I'm totally blanking on her name, Frankenstein's mom.
Greg?
What?
I can't come up.
The British feminist who was...
Wolfenstein?
Yes. She's sort of the...
Is it Wolfenstein or is it something else? Something close.
Wollstonecraft.
Wollstonecraft.
Yeah, who I have not read since I was in college. And for my senior thesis, I was a history major. For my senior thesis, I was writing about Aaron Burr's daughter, Aaron Burr was very inspired by Mary Wollstonecraft when he was raising his daughter. So, but anyway, this is very much sort of that school of very, very early feminism. But she's she's kind of a strange writer, actually, but she's got quite a personality. So I'm really enjoying that. And I'm also reading a biography of her by, what is her name? I'm blanking. Megan Marshall.
Okay.
Who's a great biographer. So those are sort of what I'm reading these days.
Excellent.
What about you, Alan?
Well,
do you want to go through a couple of our comments so they don't feel like I'm totally dissing them? James says Alan is looking to re-elect Steve Donahue's cancellation. Okay, I just don't get it. It's all right. Angelia loves the word purloined. Hey, Gareth, glad you're here.
Hey,
Gareth. We're buddy reading this book, so I just have to hold that up for him.
Well, your tag is on my list for tomorrow if I have time to film tomorrow. So.
Is that the apocalypse?
The places you'll go.
Oh, Gareth, you're talking to Gareth,
right.
not me. Okay, Gareth, places you will go.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay.
I have that one too. I need to do
that tag. That's a great tag.
Yeah, it really is.
I probably won't be doing a tag. I'll probably filming something tomorrow, but I'm trying to get to the point where I only release 3 videos a week at the most. So I don't. For whatever reason, I noticed that if I release too many, my view counts go down. It's like, oh, another one from him. I can skip that.
No, I'm excited to do I'm going to try to do your tag in the next day or two, Greg.
That's not mine.
Really
that's Mark from Book Time with Elvis is the apocalyptic one.
Yeah. That's you can take that tag several ways. Like I did an original tag years ago called like Shut Down in Flames, the 5 books I take on a plane if I'm going to like England or Ireland or somewhere or whatever. But this is quite different. It's like books that I want to read that I haven't read before. You know, like I'm going to put the Bible on there probably. I mean, there's 12. You know, am I going to put Slaughterhouse 5 on it? I've read that 5 times. I don't know. Got to think about.
Yeah.
So you're planning to read Jane Eyre in October.
October, yeah.
So I will be rereading it then, and plan to talk about it. And was it Marcia that hadn't read it? I was trying to follow y'all and read the comments. So maybe we can pull her in too, and
sure.
Not necessarily as a formal thing, but.
Well, why not? We make an announcement, and the more the merrier. You know, I mean, I can't believe I'm the only one who hasn't read.
I have not read Jane Eyre, but
you haven't. That's quite curious, as you say.
Well, I
mean that we both have never read it because I mean I've read Emma.
Very, very different book.
Yeah.
Different time period even.
Yeah, I tried to read the Wuthering Heights by I guess a different Bronte.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And I just, I got to like a third of it and I said, nah.
Yeah. Wuthering Heights is, I think, harder to get into for a lot of readers.
This is on my top 5. I love this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but.
Well, I love the structure, and you really have to read all of it before you can see the structure and how it's working.
Okay.
The first time I read it was immediately after I read Jane Eyre, and I was, 12, 13.
Right.
And I thought, oh, it's her sister. It's, I was so disappointed because it wasn't Jane Eyre, which was really not her fault.
I'm so interested in
to get past that.
A lot of women who are great readers, like Hannah, that they've read Wuthering Heights when they were like adolescent. I came to this about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Again, I'm, it's in writing, but I was an English mate. But so I just was enamored with it. Now I've seen like all the movies now on it. You know what? I used to confuse it with who's the one with the Burt Lancaster and with the sea coming up? That movie, like Till Eternity or something. I confused somehow. They're totally different, but somehow in my, But anyway,
Alan, part of it is on Wuthering Heights. Before I ever read the book, there's a Monty Python skit about the semaphore version of Wuthering Heights.
In college,
it's like,
yeah. In college, my best friends lived in a dorm on the same floor, but across catty-cornered, in the not adjoining, but nearby building. And so our windows looked straight into each other. So we were always Heathcliffing. So, yes. Lots
of comments. Okay, Alan, we're getting through the apocalyptic tag. Maybe think about books I'd preserve. Constance, you were thinking about a video earlier. I think you should go for it. Everyone's first video is going to stink. Just get over it. It'll be bad, and you'll live through it, and people will forget about it.
Yeah, there's and
also, at least for me, when I first started, I didn't do any editing for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And curiously enough, I think I actually did better before I started using editing software, because your mind knows you can't make a mistake. Because you make a bad mistake, you got to start over from the beginning.
Well, that made me freeze so much that I just couldn't do it. And so I learned some very basic
I used to wear
clip out a little piece if I were silent or made some stupid comment or whatever. And
also think about, I don't know what kind of computer, but think about a Mac. I had a Windows machine, and I was doing the editing on my Windows machine. I think I use like saying Movavi or something like that. But there's something when you transfer from a phone to a Windows machine, you lose video quality.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It just like will look washed out.
Yep.
And the way to do that is upload to Google Drive
Yes.
and download from Google Drive.
Yeah.
And then you're
Or
fine.
do it on a disc or something.
Or something like that. But
Yeah.
the
in.
Mac, I bought it because I got so tired of waiting for uploads to Google.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'll just buy it. And so I have my Windows, which I do most of my normal business stuff on. Then I have my Mac over here, which I use for live streams and video editing. And the only problem is Macs are a little.
Yeah. Yep.
I've always just used my phone, but I used to have a lapel mic and short hair, clean shaven. My older ones are on like Faulkner and that.
Mhm.
They get the most hit, thousands of views. Students
Your
just
sound is great.
write papers.
Is your sound just from your phone?
Yeah, no, I don't. I just got back into editing. I was just on free software. I'm on free still, but I switched because my memory wouldn't keep it. But God, I used to just use stacked books for tripod.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nothing fancy at all. A shoebox or something.
No one knows what's behind the camera or below the camera.
So and yeah, I wanted to mention there's a new old tag going around. Jess at Stalking Faulkner did it. It's like a bio tag. I'm gonna do it again too. Somebody else did it.
I think I'm tagged in that one. I've been meaning to do it.
Yeah, it's like a newbie tag for.
Yeah, it's great.
Steve Donahue
bio tag.
talked about it a lot, and he's right. There's a lot of new viewers since I did the newbie tag 4 years ago that may want to know a little more.
Oh yes, but a lot
information about who I am and how I got here.
And I had a whole lot of new stuff to say.
Yeah.
My reading has changed a little bit. And actually, my reading hasn't changed that much, but what I talk about in BookTube has expanded. And yeah, so it's definitely, and it just asks some new questions too. So
it does.
It's great.
And I just found out that like Patreon, you can do a free because I'm on several booktubers Patreons that are free and they just have like little extra things. And so I'm thinking about that because, I do a lot of different stuff. Like I made a mess of these.
Oh, those are lovely. They're really beautiful.
They're kind of neat, Alan. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all different, painted and stuff. I started just to send to my father and my brother and cousins and that. And I just got into it while listening to audiobook,
Okay, Alan. So what books have you been doing?
Well, I just want to go through a couple of the, because we've been talking about Brothers K for a month or so. So yeah, I guess you didn't know. I'm just buddy reading Middlemarch with Maeve Ever reads. She's a relatively new booktuber, but she's really supportive of other booktubers, and she's going to be on the show in a month or so. But so I got an old copy of this.
Wonderful.
I remember little images of it from undergrad school in the 80s, and so it's a pleasure to go read through it with someone. I haven't really read that one lately because I flew through Queen of Dirt Island. That Irish writer Donald Ryan. Donald Ryan.
Or Donald Ryan.
Yeah.
I did that for the BookTube project.
Yeah, I love that. I read that in like 2 days.
What's the book?
I'm reading Yellowface like that too. I can't. Where did this come from? And I'm just finding out about it now. That's what I mean. I'm the last to know anything sometimes.
Yeah, I haven't read it either, but I, when it first came out, was really taken with the cover, which is arresting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's but it's you'll love it. You both will love it. You can read it like I say. You can read it in the bathroom. you'll be able to read it like in a weekend. Oh, Greg can read it overnight. But
Alan, I'm actually a very slow reader.
you
It's
are?
just that I don't have a day job, so I can spend a lot of time reading.
Time reading.
But like it's a book, it's big font. I know you'll read this fast.
I loved your book, Babel.
Right. I think this is
Yeah.
a total different one because this
It
is
is.
like
It's totally different genre, but I tell you,
Yeah.
Alan, like at least for me, is I'm trying to move away from contemporary American authors, reading books by contemporary American. I want to focus, go back to classics, go back to translated lit, and look more at history and not focus so much on newer authors. That's
I
just,
want to read more translated lit, but I'm going to read like a classic a month too and keep up with that. But I want to read more newer releases and stuff this year. But and then for March, Pat, this brand new book she sent me. I'm just getting to like some of the stories in here. Dublin Tales. It has James Joyce, Two Gallants, one of my favorites. But it has a William Trevor story that I'm going to reread. I just read it one time, then I'm going to kind of dig into it, called Two Other Gallants. What the heck is it? Two More Gallants. So it's like a take on that. And then there's some stories that are in Irish and then in English.
Wow.
Back to back. So that, and then Dublin Noir. Did you read this, Greg, the Noir series? Any of the
I read a number of the noir series. I've done Mexico City Noir,
Yeah, they're really good, huh?
Baltimore Noir, DC Noir.
Yeah.
Wow.
They have Phoenix, New Orleans.
They
All around the world.
Series is huge.
Really
Covering the
good.
globe now.
Now Ken Bruin is a double. He's from Galway, but he's a crime.
Yeah, I've read some Ken Bruin novels.
Now there's a story in here though that I know you guys haven't read, and I'm going to send it to both of you. It's one of my favorite like Irish stories. It's a crime story, but I think it's called Tainted Goods by Charlie Stella. Ever hear?
Never heard of it.
I've sent it to other people in the past like 10 years or so. And then lastly, I have a brief like unboxing. This book has been around. I sent it to Greg, and then I Indian gave it. I said I want that back because he's not going to read it.
I'm not. No.
I'm glad I got it back because it's about
Finnegan's Wake.
What?
It's about Finnegan's Wake.
Yeah, and even more than that,
it's full of Alan's notations and notes and.
Oh wow!
But I got it from a friend of mine too, so I didn't realize it was full of so many notations. I knew I sent this along with a bunch of like stuff on it. Hey, there's a bookmark in here from Powell's Books.
Yay!
So I sent this. He forgot it was in here, or he would have probably.
I probably would have kept it. Yeah.
I'll send it back here. But then he sent me this book too.
Oh, I've heard that's great.
Yeah, it's their own like biography of him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And how much that cost me, Alan?
10? How much?
Nothing.
Whoa, cool! I'm glad you didn't have to spend
It was on the library sale cart for free because no one bought it. And I said, I know someone who'd want that book.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, Greg. A
lot of people. I'm laughing big spenders.
Pay for the shipping. Yeah,
I did pay for the shipping.
That's lovely.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. A lot of people send me stuff. That's why I have to reciprocate. Sometimes.
Alan,
like
you don't have to.
Well, God, you sent me so much. But James is about to send me another. He sent me a book that's over there on Finnegan's Wake, and he sent me another Joyce book. So, yeah, man, book 2 is real.
It is.
Yeah,
I actually like sending books to people because, especially the one I gave was the book I read a few weeks, Ariadne by.
Oh yeah.
By someone St. Clair. It was retelling of the Greek myth, and it was the week we had Kat from Ginger Bibliophile on, and she's talking that she likes some of these retellings. That I just read it. I'll never read it again.
Yep.
Get it out that door.
Yeah, I do unhauls to a little book, like little libraries in the neighborhood, especially when Patricia H comes down from Washington. We hit a few of them. There's one I just noticed on the bus the other day. I have to, I'll do an unhaul next week.
That's cool. Anything else, Alan? You want
Kate Bush. They're talking about Kate Bush's Wuthering Heights.
Oh, the song.
Love that. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I saw Kate Bush once.
You did?
She did. She was on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah.
In the 80s.
Oh, when you said you saw her once, I thought you meant in person.
No, not live. I saw her
too.
on TV. I'm sorry. And I remember my brother, who's a few years old, went absolutely ballistic for Kate Bush.
You did? She's got.
I love her.
I just know I found out who she was through Magic with a K and through Peter Gabriel. She's into that one song is basically she does a magical rite called the Middle Pillar in one of her videos. It's kind of cool. It's a popular song too.
Oh, Marcia got her copy of From Hell. Enjoy it. Now, the one thing, Marcia, when you do your copy of From Hell, hold on, let me hold it up.
That's a big book.
It is a big. No.
Yeah, Marcia, I read that too.
I mentioned this in a video. This might be the video that got her to buy it, but also pick up a copy of Hawksmoor by Peter Ackroyd.
Huh.
It covers. Well, From Hell covers a little bit of this book in here. But what's really fascinating is that this book is half written in 17th century fake English.
Oh, that's right.
It's the English of the style. He wrote it in that style where all the spelling is different, and And I said, "Wow, I want to read more." And when you look at 17th century, most modern editions modernize the spelling.
Yeah.
And I'm going, "Why did you do that?"
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the fact that I want to read different spellings from a different, it makes me probably on the weird side.
I would want to try Chaucer in the original.
I've tried it.
Ideally on both sides of the page, so there's the English on one side, just so I can go back and forth. But I've never tried.
It's actually readable. I mean, it's different, but not that
right.
different.
Yeah, that's. I've known a fair number of people who've done it successfully.
What about Mason Dixon? Have you read that?
I have not.
I have not. David read it, and he told me I ought to read it. So I will try that at some point.
Well, Greg, maybe we can do that next year with, I don't know, we're already reading some pension plans.
Well, there's talk about Gravity's Rainbow or V or Mason. Who knows?
I've never read V.
What?
But I've read Mason Dixon before. I've got 3 copies of it. I just found another one like last week.
Wow.
And at a free library. So now I have 3 copies of it. It's ridiculous. But I enjoy it.
Says, I appreciate the encouragement so much, but there are issues with environment, noise, etc. Something, it's just more interesting if there's weird noises in the background in your early videos.
Sure.
Especially when I have cats come on. And they don't do it as much as they used, but sometimes they used to walk up in the middle of a video and say, "Excuse me."
Mm-hmm.
People always like to see that. Yeah. Yeah.
They do.
Yes.
I know when I started that I was so shy about it all. And the idea of talking when other people were in the house was just something I didn't want to do. And so my son was at college, my husband was off at work, and I would film. And then the pandemic started, and suddenly everybody was in my house all of the time. And that, I felt like even when I closed the door, people could hear me, and it was embarrassing. But eventually I got used to it.
Yeah, Greg and I were talking about MJ mentioned it to me first about these new little apps or chatbots that can help you do things like inspire you to keep on writing, and you can tell them to call you little pet names or whatever. But I'm afraid to, I don't talk to myself yet, but unless it's a basketball game, I'll do a little talking out loud. But I go through like a weekend, I'll realize, damn, I haven't talked out loud to anybody like all weekend. So I don't even get my mail if I sometimes just be reading or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want it, but we're gonna have robots, all of us, sooner or later.
I'm looking forward to it when I hit my late 70s or mid 70s, having a robot just do all the things for me.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
Hey, Alan,
What?
message from Lee. She wants a bookmark.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Voxer her for her address. Send
No, I already have it. I'm way ahead of her. Ahead of her. Yeah. The thing is, some are going out this week, like the big ones, and then some are going out in envelopes. But some are getting stories, some are getting other stuff. Yeah, I celebrate Christmas in March. St. Patty's Day is my Christmas.
William's going to do his first tag video of them.
Oh, excellent, William.
I lowered my expectations,
me.
but commitment I made was to make at least one tag video.
Tags are so much fun. At first, I thought I would never do a tag, but now I love them.
Really? Yeah. I try to do one every week. Sometimes I'll do one on Saturday.
Oh yeah, I do them anytime I want to do them.
At
first I thought, someone has to ask you to do it, and that just feels weird. And why would anyone watch them? And now I'm like, oh, I totally get, because I watch them all the time on other people's channels, and it's just part of the community. And I guess when I started, I thought I had to be like actually talking about a book I'd read, and as opposed to just this fits this funny category or whatever. I love to do it now.
So Marcia, if anyone wants a new copy of Yellowface, let her know. I listen to the Audible.
Yeah, I'll be dropping this off when I'm done for sure. It's meant to be, passed on.
Well,
it's like the quality is real, not high. The paper isn't great. It's already wobbly. It looks like it's been through humidity of it all. But you were going to say, Greg, we've been talking over you for a while.
Oh, no. Here's Liminal Space. This is, I'm going to plug Spring Snow by Yoko Mishima.
Okay, great.
I was going to recommend that. We're reading the Brothers Karamazov, the group. And we're going to do it again. We're thinking about books to read. And we did James Joyce. We did the Brothers Karamazov. Someone was suggesting doing Anna Karenina by Tolstoy, but I said, let's spread it around the globe a little bit. Let's.
Yeah, I've got the PV version up there.
I know, but we did UK, we did Russia. I said let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've got some Europe, like German, French. I mentioned 100 Years of Solitude for Latin America, and I want to get to Asia eventually. And Spring Snow is the one that I was thinking of to maybe do for Asia. Now the problem is that's the first of 4 books.
Oh.
And now do you want to do all 4 or just Spring Snow? I mean, Spring Snow is not too bad. I mean, it's much shorter than the other books we've been doing.
Oh.
It's less than 400 pages, so it's not terrible. So maybe. So if you want to chime in and say, can we read just Spring Snow, or do we have to read the whole quartet?
Well, is it a relatively new book, or is it?
Oh no, this is 40s or 50s, I think.
Oh.
Oh no, 72.
Huh.
Correct me.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's so many classics I haven't read yet, like Master and Margarita.
You're trying to get someone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to get somebody. Ever since Nettie highly mentioned it, and I've tried to read it, and something happened. I don't know what. It's not like I want to DNF it. I've got a shelf where I can get back to later. But
Mhm.
Okay,
Like-
Alan, are you done with your reading?
yeah, go ahead,
All
Greg.
Cool. I want to talk about a couple of things I've been reading. One is that I've been listening to the audiobook of Natchez Burning by Greg Iles.
Oh yeah,
I am really, I mean, it's a thriller. It's not literature, but
Oh, it's great though. It's
a
really,
really
yeah,
good.
yeah. And the
thriller.
audiobook is great too.
Yeah, I'm listening to the audiobook. I actually bought the entire trilogy as one book. They had it for one credit. I said, it's 96
Oh, yeah.
hours. I'm grabbing that one. But
sure.
he's such a good storyteller that I'm going like, okay, he keeps
Mhm.
peeling it back, the story, and you keep getting deeper and deeper. And I'm not giving a huge spoiler, but it starts off where the narrator is the mayor of Natchez. He's a former crime writer himself, and his father has been accused of a murder or a mercy killing. And he said, okay, it's a mercy killing. Is it murder? Is it something else? And you're digging deeper, and you're beginning with the narrator saying, is my father telling me the truth?
Uh,
And it's a really good story because you can feel that narrator say, I'm absolutely behind my father. I'm absolutely behind my father, even if he's guilty. And that's what makes it a good thriller, because you're going through that movement with the narrator. And I'm pretty sure I know how it's going to turn out, because it's the way you write these thrillers. But he's leading you down that path where you're questioning things.
Yeah.
It's interesting because a lot of it deals with civil rights in the 60s and the Klan and the horrible crimes that they committed. And the fact that this book was set and written in the early aughts, and some of these people were still alive back then. And they're still living normal lives after having committed some heinous crimes.
mm,
And that's what makes it a really
yeah,
book.
it's powerful.
It was.
I really want to read his Southern Man, which just came out
Oh,
last year.
Is that part of the Pen Cage series?
It is one of the. I've read the very first Pen Cage one, which came out
Quiet
in the
Game.
70s. The Quiet
No.
Game, yeah.
Quiet Game was the
And-
90s. I read that earlier.
90s. Was
last
it 90s?
year.
It seems so dated in certain ways that I think that's why I was
yeah.
putting it earlier. I really enjoyed it very much, and especially as sort of background for Natchez Burning. But there were certain things that I would think a writer today might not do, like the portrayal of discussions about women, even though there are some great women characters but nevertheless, there was some stuff that I was like, oh, he wouldn't do that now.
No, he probably wouldn't, but it's
Hey,
what
guys.
was going on at the time.
Yeah,
The story was going on at the time they wrote it, and
sure.
I'm rather forgiving of.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't bring in modern times,
Right.
other decades.
I totally agree with you, but I'm intrigued to see how he manages to keep the general style writing today, and especially the politics apparently are a big part of the current politics. I mean, basically a Trump-like character.
Oh, see now
It's-
I had
in the
I've
first
got
one, and then-
to finish the Natchez Burning trilogy first, because I somehow think the story is not going to be fully resolved. There's going to be other things to continue. So I want to finish that. And those are, I mean, they're all big books, like
Yeah.
800, 700.
Although they go really fast.
They do.
Right.
I mean, but on an audiobook, they don't go as fast.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
You can only listen at a certain speed before you start.
Sure.
You're
I was
losing.
at 1.5, but
Excellent. Natchez Burning. You don't have to read any of the Pen Cage, really. I read the first one because I wanted to prep myself with the character, but I skipped the second book.
Uh-huh.
And this is the third.
Interesting. Yeah.
And yeah, I've gotten glimpses of what happened in the second book, just
Yeah.
because he's mentioned, but it's okay. You can pick it up, but Quiet Game is still a good book in itself. Not as
Oh,
good
yeah,
as Matches
yeah.
Burning, but it's decent.
Yeah.
And it's a good
Yeah.
place to start. Get your
Yeah.
feet.
I want to read the Southern Man. Maybe we could all read it like during Faulkner in August.
I won't be ready in August.
Oh,
yeah, I
no?
don't think I'm going to be able to in August either.
No, I don't know if I'll be able to wait that long. I'll be able to.
Alan, go to the library, reserve Quiet Game. Start there.
And I read the audio.
A great Quiet Game.
I
I know I
listened
read
to
the Black Cross about the Nazis. That was
his first book. That was also a good one.
Yeah, it's great. And I've read Natchez Burning and other ones of that too. But
you've already read them. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I
both
mentioned
the
that last
audio
week.
and the
I
text.
mentioned that last week, Greg.
What?
What, Hannah?
Both the audio and text were available through the Libby app.
Oh, yeah.
And from my library.
I'm sure Portland carries it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I went to Audible because 3 books for $9.99.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's worth it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like I just my last from I picked up Valis the other day for $2.99 on Audible.
Oh, Alan, we were going to read Valis, weren't we?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Remember?
Hold on 1 second, Alan.
He's funny today.
Before you read Valis,
what you got?
Try to pick up this book.
What is it?
Radio Free Albumeth.
All right.
Philip K. Dick wrote this before he wrote Valis. It was published after he died, I think, but it is like a prototype for Valis.
Okay.
He was working through some of the same ideas, and I guess they said, this book isn't perfect because he never published it. It has some. When you some authors like they know their book is flawed and they set it aside and they rewrite it.
Interesting. Okay, great. Thanks.
I've read Valis 2 times, 3 times. I now want to see what he was thinking before he wrote the book, and then go reread Valis.
So give me a 2-minute version of Valis.
Valis, okay. Philip K. Dick is a famous science fiction author. Philip K. Dick does appear in Valis as a character.
Ah.
But he's talking about this character named Horse Lover Fat. And once you figure out that name, it's going to blow you away. You may have to Google it, but it will blow you away. And Horse Lover Fat is nuts. He's got a bad divorce. He's addicted to drugs. Philip K. Dick had bad divorces, was addicted to drugs. And he's convinced that there is an alien intelligence, a vast active learning system, which is floating around above in satellites. And they're making there's this movie that was made. There was this weird science fiction movie, but it's the interaction. I mean, it's not pure science fiction, even though it has science fiction elements to it. It's more the characters talking about a science fiction movie and how it might be a real movie, or not, the movie's real and not just a movie.
Yeah. A lot of religious, Jesus, Buddhist stuff in it.
And it's also loosely based on something that Philip K. Dick experienced himself.
Yeah.
A LSD trip where he thought he talked to a real god.
Or alien.
Aliens and gods.
I think he did to an alien.
Like he wrote this thing called the exegesis, which is all his religious ideas.
That's right.
And he wrote the one about Nazis in the U.S., right?
Yes, The Man in the High Castle. That was an alternative read. And he
also wrote. That's a good audio.
Yeah.
Do Androids Dream of Electronic Sheep?
Oh, right, which I have not read, but
which was turned into the movie Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Even though I'm going to get someone mad at me. Blade Runner stinks as a movie, but
how dare you? And then what about Total Recall?
Blade Runner stinks.
What about Total Recall? That movie's based on.
Yes, that's also based on We Can Remember It For You Wholesale.
That's a great movie, Total Recall.
It's a great premise for a short story.
And then that other movie called it's a great movie that Colin Farrell was in. And so Tom Cruise was in, wasn't he?
I don't know.
Oh man, Minority Report.
I think so.
Oh yeah,
That's a killer movie.
I saw that.
That's
I've
based on a
not
PK.
seen many of this kind of movie, but I've
You
seen
may-
Minority Report.
Philip K. Dick. I mean, some of his prose is kind of clunky, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's one of those authors that he just like writes really fast,
Mhm.
and sometimes he submits his first draft with a couple of edits and just says, that's done.
Well,
I'm
he
done
was
with this. I'm gonna write
manic.
another book.
He was totally manic depressive in that. If not,
He was
psychotic.
nuts Fagan. I'm sorry. He was seriously addicted to drugs.
Yeah,
Okay.
amphetamines,
Yeah.
and that can cause hallucinations in and of itself. Methamphetamine abuse.
Yeah.
But my buddy read this like 3-4 years ago with the guy who doesn't have a channel anymore. He has a bunch of highlights. I just remember the California feel it had to it.
Mhm.
Kind of Thomas Pynchon-y in a way. Smoking weed a lot and stuff, and other
Hmm.
drugs. But the way it's told is different too. Like talking to himself, and then he's got that girlfriend.
Well, Alan, don't give. I mean, let people read it who want to read it because
I'm
there is one point in the book.
I'm talking
you're
in
like,
total
oh.
pluralities.
That's what's going on, and it's just like,
Yeah, but I mean, bottom line, I don't really remember the how intricate it is in that. Just by paging through it.
no, we'll do a buddy read. Maybe we'll open it up and see who wants to read.
Yeah,
Today books.
I'll get that first. Oh, you're right. Thanks.
Okay, another mammoth I've been reading is It by Stephen King. It's a reread for me. But what's curious is when I first read the book, it came out in the 80s. There is a scene where one character is talking about something that happened in the 30s. And I mentioned this to Alan, and I'm going to try to pull out some character names, and I want to see if anyone recognizes these names. I know I sent it to you in a Voxer, Alan.
Yeah, it's on my other phone.
Hold on, I'm looking at my Voxer. I will get there in just a minute. Okay, so this is a character. His father's telling him a story, and it's about soldiers who died in a fire accident during the 30s. And the names are Harry Whitson, Stork Anson, Alan Snopes, Everett McKelson, and Horton Sartoris.
Who are those, Hannah?
Interesting. Lots of Faulkner there.
There's a whole lot of Faulkner in that sentence, or those characters. Now, of course, they're just minor characters that are mentioned that died in a fire. But I'm thinking, why did Stephen King throw in all those Faulkner names?
Well,
Like,
Lighthouse,
is it fun?
The Dark House.
I've forgotten who told me this, but he was an English major and was very, very interested in Southern literature.
That could be.
So the idea that he loved, especially Southern Gothic. So he rewrote the Flannery O'Connor story not terribly long ago.
Which one?
Good Man is Hard to Find. I've
Okay.
forgotten the name of his story, but it's a retelling of it, slight retelling. And the idea that he mentions all that Faulkner, he clearly, it was,
Yeah.
you know,
And what's more amusing is it's going to go over the head of about 90% of the readers.
probably, yeah.
Easter egg.
Yeah. Well, I've made the argument that in The Shining, that red rum is all from Jane Eyre. There's actually quite a bit of like Jane Eyre imagery in The Shining. So
Really?
Wow.
I don't think he intended it, but now that I know that he liked making all of these allusions, makes me wonder if maybe he did.
I wonder if Jane Eyre is
There's
going to
always
be
this, what they call it,
W8.
subconscious plagiarism,
Oh,
where if you read a book and you read it so much. Sometimes those elements are going to sneak in. It's not conscious. Now, I think this is conscious. I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
think
this sounds like an illusion.
One
Yeah,
doctor
like
name
quite deliberate,
I-
or yeah,
said he just pulled that name out of his hat.
yeah,
But so many, no.
yeah.
Whereas this is total
Fascinating.
plagiarism.
No, that's a story of real plagiarism.
Yeah, or is it? Or is it? I could argue it's not.
Well, I haven't read it, so I can't argue.
Hey, we're getting a lot of
One way or the other.
comments.
What?
Comments.
Comments?
We're getting a lot
Okay,
of
let's go ahead.
comments.
Oh, Lee says, great, that's great. She's talking about me sending out, because she sent me the Ariadne book herself after reading it.
Right. And
So
she
now I
sent
sent
me
it off
this
to
book
Kathy,
too.
we filed it. Maybe she'll send it off to someone else.
Yeah, she sent me this book. I'm going to read
Send me
it
that one too.
November. Yeah. The Shadow of Vesuvius. Or how do you pronounce that?
Vesuvius, yeah.
Yeah.
So Gareth, do you know about my library behind me?
I
Uh-oh.
heard this story before. I think it was the last time you were on our show that we learned the real library behind.
Yes, I've talked about it once on my channel,
Yeah.
and I've alluded to it several times, but I always talk about it on lives if it comes up. But I film in my son's old bedroom. It's this one little tiny corner of the room, and I was working here, teaching an online class for a company that required me to have this huge, very, very ugly poster behind me, the full wall size. And this is about arm span, and then to the ceiling. And so that was taped up, but it was my son's bedroom, and it was just not good. He was in college, but still. So I got this piece of tapestry cloth, vinyl cloth. It's not vinyl. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
It's actually,
not
it's actually
cotton, but
physical
It's
background.
stuff,
and it's
yeah.
just it's all fake. And I
Right.
put it out on top, and it's held up on top with clips,
Okay.
so I could move it when I wanted to teach. Say it again.
No, go ahead. I said, what are yours held up with, Greg? Because they look the same.
No.
Yes,
mine are-
yes.
Mine are
Well, I keep
IKEA.
thinking I should move downstairs to my study, where my real books are, or some of my real books are there.
Yeah.
But this is awfully convenient, and I have good lights, and so
Yeah, I mean, I have a
I
problem.
don't have a
with
camera set up in my study or whatever, so I can just leave everything set up, and
and lighting
yeah.
is that I almost always film in the basement, but I've got these canned lights above me,
Mm-hmm.
so my head is always shiny.
Yep.
But other than that, I'd have to get floor lamps or
Right.
ring lights, and I'm going like, do I really care if my head is shiny on the internet?
No.
Well, when I
mean,
was
I'm not professional.
Buy some powder. Buy a little powder. That'd be for $3.
Alan, it's like
It's
there are
fine.
some
It's
people
fine.
when they do videos, they are so serious.
Yeah, no.
They want to make sure that they look very high quality film.
Yeah. They don't
They-
smoke.
They script their videos. They write down what they're going to say before they say it. And when I make my videos, sometimes I say something. Said I don't like that. I just redo it and redo it until I said, that's good enough for YouTube.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
more
I tend
like
to plan mine out because I panic if I have a camera on me and I don't have something planned out to say, then it makes it even harder. So I tend to have notes that I run through beforehand, so I have an idea of what I'm going to do, and then when I start filming, I kind of know what I'm going to say, and
Right.
and
Mine's like with
it actually
writing.
makes it a shorter process than if I were to try to do it totally, without any plan. I don't know how many times I'd have to film.
My openings over again. Usually, I have to like writing. You know how you you write and they go, oh, it really starts here. I don't,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. But invariably I forget what I said, and it's like, oh wait, what was I going to talk about here? And so I'll have to be a long pause, and then I just trim the pause out, and so. Yeah.
I kind of like my cable access style.
Yes. Well, you've got such a. I mean, you just talk naturally on camera. You don't seem nervous. So yeah.
Yeah, great.
Pat Fisher. Hello, Pat. I mean, Pat Fisher, you probably made that comment at 8:44, and it's now what? It's only 9:15, only, half hour late.
Oh, hey, Pat. Yeah, commenter extraordinaire.
I'm going to pick up a book I downloaded from Project Gutenberg from the print shop later.
Huh.
Ooh.
I have a printed into a bound book.
Sure.
Fascinating. So what's the book?
Yeah, tell us the book. I read mostly on e-ink now, so at least a third of my reading is on e-ink.
Yeah. Your Kindle.
Yep. Kate hasn't done many appearances.
Kate Bush.
I'm one of the lucky ones to have seen her. I love her a lot.
Yeah.
Wow, these are old. I'm sorry. Young folks discovered Kate Bush when they used her song in Stranger Things. They revived a bunch of 80s classics.
Yeah,
Yep.
even I've heard of Strangers.
I've never seen Stranger Things, so I just don't know.
I haven't either, but Kelly and Mark this morning were talking about Stranger Things has landmines, and they were talking about the old landmines, remember, with the curly cards? And they always had that one that was like not curly, but it was like just, and you try to get it back in line. Remember that BS? We had 3 landlines in our old house in Toledo growing up. One in my parents' bedroom, one in the kitchen, one in the pub basement we had in a break the glass, open up fire department thing. We had a phone in that. Anyway, Kate Bush.
Yeah, I took a class where we read it in Old English. Chaucer is not Old English; he's Middle English.
Middle English.
Old English, you're not going to get through without learning a new language.
My son took an Old English class and read Beowulf. And
good point.
When he was in college, and it was just amazing. I mean, he did it as his foreign language for his second foreign language.
Yeah, well, I read one where it had Old English on one side and modern
Yeah,
English.
yeah.
At that point, it's a different language. It's not.
Right. Yeah, it's great for learning though, because you can.
There's a little bit to get you, a little bit, but that's like any modern, like French and or French and Spanish, and you're going like, well, I know a couple of those words.
That looks vaguely similar. yeah, but it's definitely not like Chaucer.
No. Liminal spaces. My cat is always on my lap when I'm filming. I highly approve of cats and videos.
Yeah, cats and dogs both. Yeah,
I do. I mean, there used to be someone who filmed with a bird.
Oh yeah,
who was the person who filmed with rats or something?
Aaron Facer had a rat, I thought. Or do you have a rabbit? No, it was Pay had a rat.
Hey Dio, yeah.
Hey Dio had a rat.
Pigeon Society.
And Liminal Spaces wants a robot. I do too.
I want a robot dog.
I want a robot drive.
What song is that Angelia talking about? I missed it.
What?
Do you know which song Angelia was mentioning?
Angela. Oh, she was talking about Gareth. They used Susie and the Banshees. I have not
My
heard
brother
Susie
loves Susie and the Banshees. Yeah.
Spellbound. My favorite Kate Bush song is Running Up That Hill. I have her Hounds of Love and the Red Shoes album.
Yeah.
2 of her best albums, says Gareth. Okay, it's John.
And the Makioka Sisters is on my list as something that I want to read really soon.
Miraaki is the best intro to Japanese literature, in his opinion. Okay. Well, I said the former Ulysses 6, now the Brothers and Sisters K, is going to morph again eventually into I don't know what we're going to do.
Something new.
We have a number of options. And I said I would love to push to read more around the world. So we get we've got UK, we've got Russia, let's get Europe, let's get America, Latin America, Asia. Where else can we go? Australia and New Zealand. No one reads Australian and New Zealand authors very much. I've read very little.
There's some great like traditional African classics that
African too,
are in
yeah.
English, and that I think were written in English, but not. They might be translated. But I have a whole list of things that I want to get to at some point from various different parts of Africa.
Okay. Hold on. This is probably Nigeria's most famous novelist, Nguni wa Thiong'o. I am sure my pronunciation is not correct. He wrote this book. I'm gonna spell out the language. He translated it himself, but it's Gikuyu, and there are umlauts, or not umlauts. There are some sort of accent marks on all the vowels. Okay, that is a real African language.
Yep.
There's a lot of African authors who write in French,
Right.
because that's the colonial language.
For a lot of
I wonder if this would be, Alan, what do you think we do something like this in our Ulysses 6 group eventually?
Too hard. We're already doing the cantos, and that's in English.
This is like 2026 or 2027. We're already planning out so far in advance. But
I have to look
you're
that
right.
one up.
It's like
Send me
I
that
don't
on
read
Voxer,
a lot of African books.
Send me on Voxer. Is it translated?
Yeah, the author, as I understand it, the author published his first few books in English.
Oh.
And then he says, like, that's not my native language. And started writing in his native language. But of course, not many people are going to be able to read in his native language.
right. So you got to find a good translator.
He's his own translator.
In that case, yeah, I'd be interested in that.
And what is was it Norwegian? That's a Selma. It's really long.
Oh, My Struggle.
No.
Kierkegaard?
No. I'm gonna go check my shelf.
Okay.
I'm in my brother's.
Yeah, I knew that about Hannah's background years ago, but it was a surprise when she first told me. It looks like real, doesn't it?
What?
Hannah's
Yeah, it does.
background.
It looks better if I actually have it ironed. It's Sigrid Undstedt's.
The
I think
Yeah,
it's
I know the
Norwegian. But it's really long, and it's still on my shelf that I really want to read.
yeah.
Um,
He says you don't need to read all four, talking about Mushima, but you'll want
mhm.
the plot of that Isles books reminds me of Everett's The Trees, the reckoning that comes from people who committed the atrocities.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've read
Yeah.
The Trees.
totally.
Julia.
I have not read The Trees, although I do have it.
Yeah, that's a rough
Powerful.
one.
Yeah. Yeah, the combination of humor with just horror
violence.
is so
Violence.
yeah.
And I guess,
Amazing.
he says,
Right.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on Valis. Well, we're going to do it. We'll do Valis. Maybe end of this year, maybe next year.
Yeah, it's not a hard book to.
No. Marsha Johnson, in the back of my mind, I knew I had picked up Mishima novel and surprised it's spring snow.
Oh, good.
Because I think the book Do Androids Dream is much better than the movie Blade Runner. Blade Runner is not my favorite. I'm glad it's not someone else's favorite. Everyone says it's their favorite science fiction movie, and I'm glad it's not. I mean, if anyone remembers the ending of Blade Runner, I remember watching it opening night, downtown DC at the Uptown Theater.
Ah,
Now, most people, that's going to be total. I think Hannah,
Hannah's
you know the
smiling.
theater I'm talking about.
Yep, I know the theater, but I've never seen the movie.
You never seen?
Oh,
Were
you haven't?
were you around the area back then?
Ridley Scott.
I was not. I was. I think I was. I don't know when it came out. I didn't learn about it till I was in college.
Okay.
And one of my friends in college went to college in Boston, and one of my future roommates loved Blade Runner, but I never saw it.
Well, my comment is, it has the worst movie ending of all time. Now, the thing is, I don't like happy endings, and I won't spoil it if you haven't read it. But I guess
I don't remember the ending.
The studio, when Ridley Scott delivered the movie end, he said, "You have to have a happy ending."
Oh.
I think I've
And
heard
they
this
just
story.
threw on
Yeah.
this happy ending, which just makes you
Really?
want to gag.
Hmm.
The only P.K. Dick I read was his early novel, Time Out of Joint. And the fractured reality in that book was really, PKD does fractured reality really well. It was my favorite book as a teenager. I'd
Yeah, it's
be
a great
afraid
book.
to reread it. Don't think. I read it in 1986 when it first was released, and now it's like 2025.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly good. I mean, it's
Back
a
to my high
horror
school days.
story, but I'm appreciating that Stephen King, even though a horror, like you said, he's got a little bit of depth that he keeps in the background, like all those Faulkner names. It's like, he's just having fun. Now, my one complaint is that he does not know how to control supernatural happenings in a book. He just lets it run wild.
Hmm.
And I always said is, when you have supernatural in a book, it's better just to give it like a pinch of salt instead of just throwing, we're going to throw in all these spices and see what comes out. Liminal Spaces. I'm reading Blackwater by Michael McDowell right now, and it's one hell of a sudden. It is. Interesting enough, Criminale today, when he talked about his fantasy library, had a book in his fantasy library. He says, I really wish I owned this book.
Can you hear that? They're drumming outside my window. On Mondays, they have like a drum.
So
Yeah.
Criminale
I hear it. Yeah.
says he wants this book on his fantasy shelf. And I'm going, Criminale, I own it. I own it.
What is that? Books of Blood?
No, this is Blackwater by Malcolm McDowell.
Oh,
This is, it's really one long novel.
no, he wrote the Elementals, didn't he?
It did. But he published it as a serial. It's like when it came out in what year did this come out?
The Elementals.
1983.
Okay. Yeah.
83. So it came out like one book a month. I mean, how much fun would it be to have a book come out every month?
That's
Yeah.
It was affordable paperbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh wow, I get one every month and run to the bookstore, like, let me have
Exactly.
a book.
Amazing.
Now,
Yeah.
do you
So,
Greg,
I'm gonna tease. I know Criminale's not gonna watch this, but Criminale, your fantasy bookshelf. Of course, I think he wanted the British edition more than the American, but still, I've got your fantasy bookshelf right here.
do you consider 1980s horror classic?
I would consider that a classic book.
Yeah, but then what's Lovecraft and Poe then?
Classic.
Yeah. How
Alan-
would 1980s be?
Now here's the thing that really sort of gets me. Like classics, people say anything before the 80s is a classic now. You're going like,
I think
Yeah,
anything that's
oh.
before you can remember yourself.
That's a good one.
So for me,
like
that's late
That's-
70s.
I'm going to use that myself. I like that.
Mhm.
Before you can remember yourself, but almost like a koan, Buddhist koan.
Actually,
Mhm.
a lot of
Have
us used it in history when I was in grad school, and because we always thought of it basically history is up through the civil rights movement and the
Sure.
Vietnam protests, because we were right at the tail end of that, and we're too young to understand that. So all of that counted. But of course, for our teachers, it was usually, well, maybe to World War II, and so what you
Right.
learn, yeah. So
But then what he's got to draw the dividing line to it. Greece is where Asian and like Western
yes,
history
yes,
kind of, yeah.
right, and I was just talking about American history,
Sure,
but
sure.
yeah.
How we divide things, or mark things in time,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
the canons of things, and when's Pynchon going to move up
Right.
after he
Well,
dies? Or
Pynchon
is
is
it?
technically alive, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Well, I
He
mean,
dies.
I presume if he died, we'd hear about it, even though he's like,
Probably.
maybe
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. God, that reminds me of
So,
now
Alan,
that
do you think Pynchon has any novels that he never finished and not published?
God,
Or did he
yeah, I hope
stop
so.
writing
Oh,
after?
there's probably a whole library. Once someone breaks into his house and finds him dead, and
Yeah.
4 years
Hopefully
after he,
he'll be like Jimi Hendrix up there and have all kinds of stuff in the bank,
Yeah, well,
or in
that
the
was
can, they
supposed to
say.
Salinger too, and he died like how many years ago? Did Salinger die?
More than
yeah,
five.
several. Yeah.
More than five.
Someone said like, oh, he didn't stop writing.
I'd be really interested in reading his stuff. Back in the day, I had to read his stuff from New Yorker on microfiche. I read Kicks
Wow.
because unpublished. I was that much like into him,
Uh-huh.
but now
Oh,
it's all out somewhere. Boy, every Monday they have a group downstairs of drumming and then I was showing. I'm gonna make another one of these too and paint it. I painted one a few years ago.
oh yeah.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
another one. Then I'm gonna make another one next month, I think. But yeah, living in a Native American community, it shows up once in a while.
So it says what Jane Eyre imagery in The Shining. Gonna look
So
into that.
so look at the Red Rums section, and then the first couple of chapters of Jane Eyre, and that's where most of the parallels are.
Okay.
The Red Room versus Red Room.
Ah,
I thought you were saying
I'll
landmines.
keep that in mind when I read it.
I also heard landmines. I did Chaucer as well.
Yeah, I've never tried to read
I've
him
never
either.
figured
Or Beowulf.
the bird. Okay. Yeah. He says, Greg, I just had a friend visit yesterday who is in rescue. She had a 28-pound cat that was a mix of
Oh.
Norwegian forest cat and Maine Coon. Wow, wow,
Oh,
wow.
geez.
That's
That's a big cat.
yeah.
I worry about that. I have 4 cats, and that's enough. But I worry that someday someone's going to drop off a cat at my house and say, this cat has no home. And I'm going to go, okay.
Mhm.
Because, I wouldn't be able to say no to a cat that's
Yeah.
in true need. Starting Carpentia by Alex Wright. She was an Aboriginal author from Australia. Okay.
Now, have you guys heard of the book called now I'm gonna forget it. I'm gonna read it and I read along that Jeff said Stalking Kafka. Praiseland, or it's from Australia about Aborigines. Praiseland. Oh man. Go ahead. I'll find it.
All right. So, Greg, she was the size of a small lynx
Wow.
and gorgeous. Okay. I have a tiny little cat that looks like she's part Maine Coon, part forest cat, but she's only like 11 pounds. She's a teeny little thing, but she's absolutely gorgeous. And I know Gareth says, remind me of our 2-year project, reading the complete stories of J.G. Ballard. Yeah, I just finished the second story of our 2-year project last week called Escapement. And I'm going to give you the briefest summary, and raise your hand if you've heard this story before. Remember, this was published in 1956. A man's watching TV with his wife, and all of a sudden he says, did they just put this story on a loop? Sounds like it's familiar. And 15 minutes later, is this still on a loop? They're playing the same thing over and over again until he finds out that he's in a time loop. That he's repeating the same 15 minutes of his
Over
life.
and over and over. Wow.
Over and
Not
over.
about again.
What?
It's not about again.
Isn't it? Wasn't there a famous movie with that?
Oh yeah, Groundhog Day.
Groundhog. That's the one. Groundhog Day.
Oh,
Bill Murray.
Bill
And,
Murray.
just
Bill
repeating the
Murray
day
was,
over and over. Yeah.
80s movie, and this was a 50s short story.
Oh,
And I wonder if they had read J.G. Ballard before the scriptwriter put that in. But it's good. I mean, it's the second published short story of an author, so it's like he's building himself, but they're good. I mean, they're pretty good for first and second short stories. So, and this is he has at least my edition is 88 short stories,
Wow.
and we're doing basically one short story a week. I'm sure we're going to be taking some weeks off. And some weeks his story is like 4 pages long, and the next is 10 pages. And we may decide, well, we're just going to do 2 stories that week. But this is about a two-year project to get through this book. And it's how many pages? 1,196 pages long. So
that book that I was trying to think about is called Praiseworthy. You guys heard of it, haven't you?
no.
It's like a newish book, I think. I haven't researched it. It's big, but it sounds interesting. And I mean, I might attempt it in April with them. I'm thinking about it. We're continuing, I guess, Brothers K into April, but I'll be done by.
Well, no. Brothers K ends in March.
Oh, okay, good. I'm on track.
I'm right on track.
I read that in one day.
Brothers Karamazov?
It's a great novel.
Awesome?
Crazy. I was supposed to be. I was reading with a bunch of students. I wasn't the teacher, but I was one of the people there for support, and was like, had not really thought about it, and suddenly realized, oh my God, that's tomorrow. And so I woke up at like 5 a.m. and like sped read until 1 at night or something. It's crazy. It's a really intense book to read that fast too.
I don't think I could do it. My brain just cannot read that fast.
Oh, I have very little memory of. I have such a physical, emotional response to just the title, but I really don't remember the book very much. And that was not terribly long ago. I mean, within the last
novel.
decade.
Becoming one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I need to read it again.
Yep.
So
yeah, I really ought to try it sometime, but I have a normal life. So.
Yeah. Is Panic at Hanging Rock? Yes, that is like
yeah.
It is one of the most famous Australian novels. So the illusion of Hannah's bookshelf is an example of magic of cinema.
Yeah.
I thought it was AI generated. I didn't know it was actual physical backdrop.
Yeah, it's cloth. It's clipped at the top, and then I have it pinned over on the side, but it's actually because I was using my other background recently. It's not. I didn't put it up very carefully, so it's a little bit crooked, to say the least. But yeah.
Angelia says, I've read some Australian mysteries like Jane Harper. I've read one or two, but not nearly as much as like England or other European countries. And they're like a major country in this world. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't read a lot.
Yeah, good point.
Gareth, when I went to LA, we made sure to visit where Blade Runner was filmed. I filmed myself doing the last speech.
That's really funny.
It is. Wasn't that impromptu from the actor and not in the script? Gareth can mention. He probably knows. Oh, John Silver says, I remember the Uptown Theater in DC. Really good venue. John, do you remember if the Uptown Theater is still around? I remember back when I was like in the 80s in high school, it's like, I lived in Bethesda, Maryland, and went to school just over the border in DC, just like across the street was Chevy Chase, Maryland. And we would go down Friday nights, we'd go down the Uptown Theater and watch all these new releases. And you have to remember, back then there was no VHS. If you wanted to see a movie, you had to go to the movie theater.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it closed. I think there was an effort to restore it. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong theater. Maybe 8 years ago, something like that. But I think it actually closed. I don't know.
It seems hard to think of a movie theater that only plays one movie at a time.
Right.
You don't have any other choices.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. We have an old theater in my neighborhood called the Hollywood Theater. It's real old, but even they have 3 screens and they play a variety of good movies. Then there's a good Regency movie theater downtown by Powell's, actually, that you can like have like a beer in or whatever. I don't know if that's you can do that in DC too. I don't know.
I see.
But, yeah,
I think that'd be great to have like theaters where you can have a couple drinks.
Yep.
Yeah. They got one here. It was unusual.
The one closest to us is a branch of the American Film Institute, which has maybe 4 theaters within it, I think. But yeah, they serve drinks and it's lovely.
Or you can have a cup of tea, good tea they have.
Yep.
Yeah, from that place I used to work at, Smith's.
And nice food too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped going in the pandemic. So I think the last movie I saw in the theater was Little Women, Greta Gerwig's Little Women. And since then, I just never got back in the habit.
Yeah, I'd like to see that Timothy Chardonnay, not Chardonnay, Chardonnay.
I like that. That's what I'm going to call him from now on.
Yeah, Chardonnay, but that what's the Bob Dylan one he did recently?
Yeah, I want to see that.
Great Unknown. I'd like to see that in theater.
One.
Yeah.
Some of my folk music friends think that one's really well done, which kind of surprised me. I was thinking that I wouldn't want to watch it, but after hearing their reviews, it's like, yeah, I do want to see it.
Yeah, I watched the Academy Awards. I was surprised that the winner was, but I still. The subject matter sounds interesting, but I don't want to rush out and really see it. I'll just see it on like my TV someday.
Yeah.
So Angelia says, well, I do love Blade Runner. I just, Angelia, it's fine to love it. It's the fact that I don't like it. Something, argue over a beer and chicken wings about, that's the way we do things.
Greg doesn't like a lot of stuff.
I don't.
He says, I don't.
Family and books. Paula Hay just dropped in to boot the like button. Thank you so much, Paula. It does help.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't monetize these lives usually, so
yeah, I keep trying to get them to, but no.
It's my theory is like I do monetize my channel.
That was a joke, by the way. That was a joke. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I do because YouTube would put the ads on anyway.
Yeah.
If I don't or
No.
do monetize or don't. So
Yeah, I don't care about that
you know,
stuff either.
I make a little bit of money. You know, it's not going to change my life. You're going to buy a few books at the end of the year. That's about all. But you know something? I get to buy a few books at the end just by talking about it. And that's
Sure.
what's really amazing is I can make a little bit of cash.
I thought you'd buy cat toys. I got really cool new ones out. I noticed on like Amazon, those ones.
You know something? You buy a cat toy, the cat's going to look at it and going like, no.
They
Ooh,
just-
bottle cap. That's fun.
yeah.
You know, they're cat. They play with what they want. That's like Tim. If
Right.
the cat wants to play with it, it's a cat toy. If you buy a
Right,
cat toy, the cat's going to look at it and go, no. I love that.
Murphy's Law,
Mhm.
kind of.
Thanks for the reminder. Push that like button. Yeah, thank you. Burgesson reads, hi, Hannah.
It's good to see you.
Angela, I forgot how you like Android. Do androids dream? Wow. You have the whole series. I'm jealous. And you know what's really amazing? He's talking about this. Is $1.95 or not $1.25. I mean, all these books cost me $1.25 a piece.
Wow.
If you go on the internet, I think the cheapest would be $40.
Ooh.
Now, did you tell us where you bought them at? Do you remember?
I
You
bought
must
them
have-
at a used bookstore. They were on the show. They had multiple copies of everything.
Yeah, but where at? Recently or
no,
in Seattle?
this was like in Virginia, like in the 90s.
Oh wow. Jeez.
The price of used books have just gone skyrocketing. It's like now he was like, oh, they're collectible. We can charge more money.
I know, and then you kick yourself in the pants for the ones that you unhauled.
I
from
did.
Seattle.
I remember like hauling a bunch of old horror classics. These cheap. I don't care.
I'll get them
then
later.
unload it.
I'll get them later if I want.
Yeah. And I said, nope, you're not paying $60 for a book that cost you $1.05 at one point.
Yeah.
Ollie took the same approach that I did. Books that complete my collection. Constance, I still haven't read it. We Can Remember It. Oh, she's talking about the Philip K. Dick story. We Can Remember It for You wholesale. I know I'm doing a project to reread the best of the short story, science fiction short stories. And I'm trying to remember, what is my Philip K. Dick story? It might be I Can Remember For You wholesale. It might not be. It's one of his best. Hello, Medium John. Hello from the world of 9:30. What time is it now?
It's
only 9:47.
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
it's 6:47 in the West, where it's the best.
It says Hanging Rock is Australian. I think the film was shot there. Not sure. Film was Peter Weir, who was Australian, but I don't know.
Great actor. I remember him in RoboCop. Peter Weir back then.
Oh yeah, the film.
I used to have like VHS tapes. I studied different directors like that, but I had hundreds of tapes. I had 2 VCRs with a box that took the filters out so I could copy them. Remember, like you couldn't without that box. There'd be a big filter if you wanted to copy from the Blockbuster or whatever. Man, VHS tapes.
I remember
Those were the days.
I remember now. I remember Beta.
Oh yeah, me too. They were thicker,
No, they were smaller.
but they were smaller and thicker.
Were they?
Yeah, you had to have a different machine, everything.
Totally different machine.
Yeah.
I
God,
wish
I remember when my dad brought back this RCA camera that you had to mount on your shoulder and put a literal tape into it to videotape. That was back in like MTV and We Are the World and that. 80s. Don't get me started.
Yeah, so Pat says Salinger died in 2010.
Ah,
I wonder if he really did have usable work. I mean, it's been what, 15 years. You would
Yes,
think
yes.
that
It's
Somebody
fine.
would have-
If it was
Wow.
usable, they would have published it by now.
I think they would have.
or
I
at least
think-
donated it to an archive of some sort.
Well,
You should research that, Greg.
I mean, thing is, I'm not a huge Salinger fan. I've read, what was it, Seymour, an introduction.
Yeah, I love that.
That was for a class on the modern novel, even though that's not really a novel.
I like Franny and Zoe the best with what's that, Billy Glass or Bud Glass? The guy who's smoking a cigar. He's 14, smoking a cigar in a bathtub.
I don't know, Alan. All I've read is Seymour, an introduction. So that's I have you have convinced me to pick up Catcher in the Rye. I have it on my shelf. Sooner or later, I presume the Band Book Club is going to decide to read Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah,
So I'll read it then.
I just happen to have it right here. Look at this tiny little version I have. I
Mhm.
think I have another one that I have to dig out, but this is unannotated by me. I used to read it like every 5 years or so. I'll reread it with you. Pat Light loves it too.
Well, as I said, Alan, sooner or later, I'm in the Band Book Club, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure eventually we'll get to it. So,
Well, let me know when you do.
Liminal Spaces loved Ballard's giant corpse on the beach story.
I'm really unfamiliar with him, Ballard.
Good to see you too.
Totally.
I mean, he's famous in the science fiction world.
Oh,
His most famous novel is probably Crash.
oh.
That was where people sexualized car crashes.
Huh.
It's weird, yeah. And what's the one short story? It has the title of the short story is The Assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, considered as a downhill motor race.
Oh, I
And
don't know
what
about.
happened
I don't know
is-
if I like that.
Jay
I think that offends
Harlan
me.
Ellison, when he was publishing his book Dangerous Visions, which was science fiction stories that push the edge,
No,
Ballard submitted this short story. And Ballard's editor rejected it on Harlan Ellison's behalf, saying, no, you're not going to want this. And I guess Harlan Ellison threw a conniption fit, saying, how dare you reject something on my behalf?
oh,
I
I
would
bet.
absolutely accepted that story. So
Oh, now I
Oh.
remember Harlan Ellison back in the day. I don't remember him like you, but he came across my path back in the day.
all right.
I had like a collection of his stories from a book club.
Yep. We've been on here almost 2 hours, so I'm gonna say it's about time to call it quits.
Yeah, what about that, Hannah? We kept you.
Yeah, I managed to
2
stay
hours
awake
up.
this long, but
I'm
but
gonna run
know
through the
so-
comments and see if there's anything interesting in the comments, but
Okay.
let's just run
Let's
through
go
and
by
then
fast.
call it quits. And book chat, take care. Marcia, have a good night, folks. Good to see you, Hannah. People saying goodbye, good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, most time loop stories and less than a dozen cycles. The genius of Groundhog Day was to see what happens with more than 1 million cycles.
You know, another novel that cycles through like that is Finnegan's Wake.
Yep.
We're group reading, not Greg and I, but I'm reading with a group in April if anyone's interested.
Oh, Gareth confirmed that Rutger Hauer did improvise that last speech.
Oh, he did. That's interesting. Wow.
Complete Unknown was a great movie. I don't know that.
That's the
Google
one I was
Street
talking
View
about.
shows the Uptown Theater is shut down December 2004.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's too bad. I have a lot of
No.
memories as a teenager going to that movie theater, and for whatever reason, is when I was a teenager in the 80s, I could go into any movie theater. Doesn't matter if it was an R-rated movie. I just hand them whatever the ticket price was.
Mhm.
They sold me a ticket.
Yeah, it was your mustache.
They did. I mean, back then they did not really care
No,
about.
I had friends. I had friends whose family owned a two screen theater I could walk to, and they showed like foreign films, like God, now I can't remember, but like oh shit, I forget. But then we got free candy and popcorn. That was cool, huh?
All right, that's too bad. I had such great memories of that theater. And Khan says, "Yep, Rutger Hauer wrote that perfect ending that the studio couldn't let stand.
Because it wasn't happy.
Was not. I mean, if you see that happy ending of the original Blade, right? You'd be, at least people like me. If you had pitchforks and a torch, you'd be out there going, no."
Well, I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, I'd like to watch it again myself.
And good night. Boy, I have a list of new books to research already from the discussion.
Yeah.
The actor and director are different people. Peter Weir, the director, also directed Mosquito Coast, which is amazing, based on a Paul Theroux novel.
Okay, so he's correcting me.
Oh,
I'm
Pretty
thinking
sure
about
he's
the
done
actor
it
from.
too.
Yeah. Right. I'm an idiot.
Great chatting with everyone. See you next time. Peter Weir is the director. I think Peter Welker is the RoboCop. I don't know. Peter Weller guest stars in a guest episode of Fringe. Lee says, "Love you, Hannah." Well, we all do, Hannah.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah.
Comment. That's great because Hannah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
For being a
it's
guest.
lovely to-
I'm sorry
lovely
if you're tiring out and it's time to go to bed. I'm tired out too and need
I
to
am too. I'm getting hungry.
go to bed. Yeah, it's early for you. You're gonna go to Pizza Jerk and have a piece of pizza.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I
on
have to go
Mondays.
upstairs and give my cats treats because 10 o'clock and they're gonna be on the counter. They're probably looking at my wife going, it's treat time.
Mhm.
They had the kitty for me.
All right, everyone.
Thank you
Hannah,
so
thank
much.
you so much for
Great to
showing up
see you.
as a guest.
Next time I'll try to have more energy.
Thank you so much for showing up. And Alan, we're off next week, aren't we? Hold on.
Oh, next week is St. Patty's Day.
Oh, next week is St. Patty's Day. We have Pat, book chat with Pat. Then we're off.
Oh,
All right,
Pat.
everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you
excellent.
so much.
Okay.
for showing
See you
up.
soon. Thank
Have a
you.
great night.
You
See you guys
too.
later.
And goodbye.